What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Closure TV podcast. As promised, I'm letting off another shot with another video, another podcast, another guest that promises to deliver on the issues of closure and actually providing content for people out there that's looking to uh, be impacted. We're looking to build. That's what this channel is all about. So I'm going to continue to do my part and constantly pound the pavement, search high and low for different people that's going to bring an impact and a value to the ones that's listening. Here's the deal, though. If you would, go ahead and like, subscribe, and comment to the channel so I can help build and grow this thing. And we can continue to get information and value added out to people that's out there listening and checking out the podcast, helping us grow and supporting us. In the meantime, uh, I just want to ask you a question real quick. Are you a friend or are you a mercenary? And the reason I ask that is because a lot of times we'll get the idea of a friend misconstrued to the point where our friendship, so-called friendship, is basically conditional. Friendship should be unconditional. It should be no matter what. The friend is there, they're going to lend support, they're going to do whatever, right? Just because. But you got a mercenary. You got a person, some people who call themselves a friend and they actually a mercenary to the point where they just there as long as the money is flowing. They just there as long as you giving them money to tell you how cute you is. They just there as long as you giving them money to tell you how smart you is. You know? And so you really not doing this person a service. You're doing them a disservice. You're giving them a slap in the face. Now, I get it. Some people just want you around for that. And if they understand that that's the dynamic of y'all relationship, cool. But I just ask that you examine which part you play in that scenario. Because it could really be detrimental to the person that's serving and the person that's receiving. Because if you're willing to go down that path with dealing with people, you may just be setting yourself up for a long road of destruction, headache, and heartache that you're going to regret in the long run. But I just wanted to set that in your spirit as we go ahead and go into this episode right here. Brace yourself and enjoy. It's your boy Dorian, Closure TV. We're racking up episodes, y'all. This is, I think, episode number 6 going in the bank. Today's guest that we have on deck is the lovely Miss NeecyB. What's up,
Hey,
Niecy?
hey.
All right, all right. So we are honored to have you on the call. Uh, Came across the fact that you even existed as a person not so long ago. And I realized that we had to find a way to get you on the podcast because you talking our language. You are talking our language. You are fireball out there killing it, pounding the pavement for advocacy. You advocate for prisoners and injustice
Yep.
in the prison systems, in the legal system. And believe me when I say that it struck me as like something that's next level when I heard about that because I know I've heard about it before but not seen it in action. Uh, we're gonna go over some of the things, your accomplishments, and some of your issues and initiatives that you partake in, and we're gonna get to the nuts and bolts of stuff. But like I said, first I just want to introduce everybody to you, and have you share a little bit about yourself. What you got?
Okay. Hey, everybody. I'm NeecyB. I am from Sacramento, California, and I am one of Sacramento's advocates. I totally started off of Google because I didn't know about how or where to get started, and I know that's a problem with everybody. Like, where do you start? I'm a true believer of like Nike, just do it because you're gonna make it where you need to go. Um, I like to help people. I work with the prison system. I work with the homeless community out here in Sacramento. And I love the work I do. I would never have thought like 5 years ago that I would be doing this type of stuff because I really didn't believe in. I'm not even gonna lie. I didn't believe in none of the stuff that I'm doing. Like I didn't think I was gonna make it anywhere. I would have never thought I'd be at the Capitol giving public comments. I would have never thought I'd be in the Dream.org cohort or Initiate Justice. And knowledge is power, so use it. Always be teachable. Be willing to learn, and yeah, you're gonna make it places that you never thought you would. As long as you just keep going, don't let nothing stop you. Always be ready for rejection. As long as you don't care about the opinions of others, you're gonna make it for sure. I feel like a lot of people hold back from wanting to do the work because they're afraid of rejection. And I feel like once you get out there and you get comfortable in your own skin and giving your opinion, because for sure people could go against what you're doing, but nobody could tell you how to feel. And as long as you're going and speaking from the heart, you'll be cool.
There you go. There you go. Now, with that, I mean, you definitely spoke to something that I believe a lot of people experience, and you talked about rejection. You talked about fear of rejection at the same time. Like, where does that come from for you to have that energy?
Um, since we're gonna keep it 100 and raw and uncut, I come from a strict household. My dad is Punjabi and my mom is Tongan, and we're raised to be a certain way or follow certain traditions and stuff. And that was like the first of it. That's when I knew I was gonna be different. When I was like, I can't live under these rules because it's like you're trying to dim my light, Mr. Singh. Like you're trying to dim my light, and I know I'm supposed to do more. So it's like once I had to break out of that shell of I'm not gonna be a little Indian girl that gets arranged marriage and learns how to make tortillas and tea for my mother-in-law. Like I knew that was where it was gonna start, was breaking the barriers in our household. Cause I came from a, like I said, a strict household, and I just didn't. Not that I didn't want to follow rules, because for sure, listen to your parents. Listen to your parents. They want the best for you, but I also knew that I wanted something else. So I left home early, and that's when it started. Like I was the black sheep, but really, the black sheep is really the goat because I've made it. Like I've done crazy things, but it's like that's where it started. It was I left home and I it was the rejection, the insults from the family, how everybody looked at me, how everyone tries to bring you down, and instead of being a victim of it and letting them shut me down, I made sure like my light's going to be bright. You're going to hear me, you're going to see me, and you're going to see why I did everything. That's
So
where
wait, wait, wait. What? It sound like I heard you say something about an arranged marriage, and
my
so talk a little bit about that. Tell me a little bit about that.
okay, my dad's from Fiji. He's Punjabi, like 7-Eleven, the ice cream man. They get arranged marriages. And I remember when I was younger, my dad used to talk to his friend and was like, she's going to marry your son. And I'm thinking, like, I'm not marrying no Indian. Like, it's not going to happen. I don't want to live and feel like I'm being controlled, Like, I don't want that for me. Like, that's not what I want. So, that was like my first thing is I left home when I was young and I made sure like we're not getting arranged. I'm not gonna marry an Indian. And of course I did everything that Indians would like put shame on. Like I had a kid at 16, left home at 15. So it was like I'm doing everything opposite from what they wanted me to do. But for sure, arranged marriage is in our culture, and I was for sure one of them chosen ones that was gonna get arranged. But I did before I could do that.
Right. So with that, uh, you definitely expressed a disdain for the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
Like what was commonly accepted was something you just wasn't on board with.
Nope. I knew from the beginning. I'm like, okay, we're gonna have some issues because I can't like it's a control thing, not just with my family, even everywhere. Like even with the justice system, it's like I'm totally not okay with people wanting to be in control. Like that puts a lot of barriers up for people. That shuts a lot of people down, especially if people let people control them, you know? Like, I don't know. I just knew I wasn't going to be controlled. For sure not. Not me.
How did that um how did your family receive that when you took that position?
Um, so at first it was hard. I ran away when I was 15. Um, for sure came from a strict, I don't want to say abusive, but abusive family. So it didn't matter what they were going to say. For sure, to me, it didn't matter what they were going to say because at the end of the day, my feelings matter. But it for sure was like I was looked down on. Me being pregnant, okay, I ran away and I got caught, and my parents were like, "You're getting an abortion." I'm talking about, and this is the real. I ran away and got caught by my uncle, who's a highway patrol. He's
Mhm.
Asian. He brought me back home, and he's like driving me back, and I'm crying like, "Don't take me back. They're gonna beat me. Don't do it." And he was like, "No, I'm gonna talk to him. Don't even worry, you know." And it's like, of course, he's gonna sit there and nod his head and tell you everything's gonna be good, and I'm gonna get my butt whooped right when he walk out that door. Man, right when he walked out that door, it was like ass whoopings. I got pulled out of school. I got my phone taken away. I had to stay in like my parents' room until if I wanted to go downstairs and eat, they had to come down with me. My sister used to have to stand outside the bathroom. And one day, God heard my prayers and left my little brother's phone in the hallway. Now, my mom is 75% deaf and she was watching me at the time. So I crawled to the phone, texted my son's dad at the time, my baby daddy, and I was like, they got me scheduled for an abortion on Tuesday. If you don't come and get me, we're not having nothing. And sure enough, I seen the light flashing at the window and I knew that was my call and I ran for my life and never went back. But at the same time, it was like, I'm glad that my parents raised me a certain way because my dad worked two jobs to take care of us, and my mom barely spoke English, but she worked at hospitals. My dad went to middle school in Fiji, and he worked for state the whole time he's been here, even before he became a citizen. So it's like, I knew that once I was gonna have this kid, it would my parents weren't gonna raise him. I'm gonna raise him. I'm gonna hustle. I'm gonna figure out life. And luckily, my dad had a business, a landscaping business, and I was probably like 11, typing up invoices for him. Like I learned a lot. I learned how to pay bills. I learned how to do a lot. So I'm thankful for them. Like I wouldn't have this push if it wasn't for them. But I just knew that we had different plans for sure. I wasn't gonna do what they wanted to, and that's where it all started. That's where NeecyB came.
Right. And you know what you bring to mind when you say that is, I was having a discussion with some people a while ago with a partner of mine about how sometimes people become millionaires and billionaires, and it wasn't necessarily that that was really their game plan, but because of situations just like you experienced, where you experienced something so traumatizing to you. You refused to live that existence, and it pushed you in the other direction. You know what
It,
I mean? And they, like I said about the millionaires and billionaires, they end up becoming that with the thought in their mind that they was never going to experience or endure what they left.
all right.
Right. So I just wanted to share that because I go right hand in hand with what you said. And of course, your travels led you to where you at now. And
For
so
sure.
real quick, I see you got the dream.org shirt on.
Yep.
And then I got a picture of you as well in a shirt similar to that with another sister. Can you talk a little bit about that picture?
Yes, Laura is it's a picture of me and Laura. We were in the dream.org Justice Next cohort. Um she's my partner in everything I do. Um and our story is kind of funny. We met through we signed up for Initiate Justice this cohort, and that was in Contra Costa County because like I said, they don't really do much in Sacramento. I was surprised that dream.org came to Sacramento because I've been looking at Van Jones and dream.org, and I've been trying to join them, but they never had nothing in Sacramento. So once I saw them put up the post, we signed up for it together. But while I was doing the Initiate Justice cohort, I heard that Laura was from Sacramento. I didn't know who she was, never seen her before, and at graduation, when I walked in, she was sitting all the way at the back table and by herself with her son. And I was like, I'm going to sit at that table because she's from Sacramento. Like, I don't want to sit up front. I'm going to sit back there. So I sat back there and we started talking. And ever since, mind you, we didn't talk the whole cohort, but at graduation, it started. I'm like, we're going to do the work and we're going to put it into effect because Sacramento has Decarcerate Sacramento, which works with the county jails, but we're for prison reform. Like, we're for prison reform. We're for like juvenile justice and even for the criminal justice system, just criminal justice reform, period. But I knew that we were going to try to do something in Sacramento because we don't have enough people in Sac. And um, our story is kind of funny because she was kind of like, "Oh my God, I didn't know your husband was African American." And I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, you don't look like you would be with African American." And this is where things were like, okay, well, let me tell you my story. My son's dad is Mexican, and I used to be with the Hispanics, and I got like I'm telling her like my street stories, like, oh, I got into it with these people and blah blah blah, and come to find out she was one of those people. So with that being said, this is where we learn that you can't be biased in the work you do. Like you can't be biased. You have to drop everything and put everything aside so that you could do the work correctly. And that's probably like a hardship we have right now because even when we go to the Capitol and people meet everybody, it's always still like a little bit of tension between people, knowing where they're from and where they come from. But I always preach that every time I meet a new group of people, I always push the make sure you know you should not be biased. Like it's not going to work. So I've never had a Southsider friend. I'm keeping it 100. Laura's my first one, and we've been doing amazing things together. Like we've been going everywhere. We show up. We support the Ella Baker Center in Oakland. We do. We went with the Dream.org facilitators the first day we met them to a screening and networked over there. And it's like me and her learned everything off Google or us teaching each other. So it's like knowing that we're making it places together and networking and stuff is like a good feeling because it's like I would have never thought I'd be Laura's friend, and now look at us going crazy.
And so that, when you say that, that's what it's all about.
Right.
And so through an experience such as you guys have a common bond that got you in the arena that you was in.
Mm-hmm.
But my question for you is um, understanding that you had that bias, you did have it, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about that? How do you feel about, having been basically conditioned into thinking that way and then now realizing that it ain't how you need to think?
I would say sometimes it's hard because not just Laura, there is like a lot of inner city funk when it comes to like my siblings, like my brothers who are incarcerated, or like my family, period, especially when it comes to my son's family, because it's not a secret out here in Sacramento. My family and my son's family have like real big gang issues on the streets. We've lost people to the system, we've lost people to the cemetery. And so, even then, like showing up to the Capitol and seeing people who might have tried to get my brother or like do stuff, it's crazy. It's crazy because you really have to have the heart to put everything aside and like focus on the picture. Like, hey, I'm not here to tell people you're at this location so they could come and do something. It's we need to we need to come together really as a group because Sacramento, we're losing so much youth to incarceration, and like even a lot of people are dying, women, youth, everybody. So it's like I have a son who's 13. He's 6'3". He looks like a grown man, and my biggest fear is because our families don't get along, like you're going to be influenced by a side, or you're going to want to participate in things that I don't want you to, or you might. I don't let him take public transportation. So whenever he wants to go somewhere, I'm dropping him and his friends off. Like, you're not walking these streets. Because let somebody ask you where you're from because you look like you're 18 and you're 13, I'm going to lose my mind. But that's why I tell people, like, we have to come together from every side and try to get the youth because I can't stop the older people who already started these gangs and started doing the work and all the stuff, but we can get our children and tell them like, hey, here we need more resources. Sacramento doesn't have enough stuff, or if we do have stuff, it's like can't even take the kids to the park because people are getting shot at, you know? So it's like my thing is like I have to think about my kids when I show up and be the non-biased part. That's where it kicked in. Like, we got to get our kids. That stuff doesn't even matter anymore because that's why I'm pushing for people who's incarcerated, and they're incarcerated because of this type of stuff. So I would say it was hard, especially because my husband is a known gang member. Knowing that there's people from all sides tapping in now to get help and get resources, you really have to have the heart to just let things go. Let it go and do the work.
Believe me, I know it's a lot where that came from, but that's why I seek to connect with people like you that's willing to peel the layers of that onion and just put it out there, because a lot of the stuff that is afflicting people is unspoken,
Right.
right? And so, like you said, in situations like you just spoke about, I'm in that situation and I haven't dealt with the other stuff,
Right.
right? And so now I'm all wonky in the in the situation. I'm trying to help somebody else, but I don't know how to do that because I'm getting in my own way now.
Right.
Because now I got to deal with these issues in a form that ain't got nothing to do with the issues. This is the best place I could be in to help change stuff, but I'm carrying this baggage from my past into this situation, and they don't mix.
Right.
So now, believe me, I'm saluting you on that. I'm really, really saluting you on that. You talked about being lined up with these different uh, entities and stuff like that. There's another picture that I got here that has a guy named Robert Brooks on it, and I know he's hooked up with the Jay-Z,
And Meek
that whole
Mills.
alliance. Is that right? Meek Mills,
My
right?
alliance.
Yeah, I saw a documentary on them at one time. So how did you get hooked up with them?
In 2021, on my birthday, um, we're just gonna keep it real over here. On my birthday, I was intoxicated and I was in my feelings because my husband was in Sacramento at county, and he was kind of stuck because of COVID. He came out for resentencing. The judge and the DA didn't show up. They had COVID, even though they rescheduled his court date for that date, and everything just, like everything just fell into place, but it felt weird because they weren't showing up. He got stuck. He was about to miss his board of parole um, hearing, and he called me and was like, "Hey, you need to go and make a packet or something and show up and tell the judge and the DA like either send me back or resentence me." And I was kind of like, never did this type of stuff before, and I'm like, you're crazy. I remember calling his mom like, your son wants me to make this packet and push it for him because he's stuck in county, and I don't want to do it. Like I that just sounds crazy. Why would I do that? I'm not a lawyer or nobody, and I'm telling you, I drank that night and I stayed up on my sister-in-law was over there and my friend Titi, and I sat at the corner of the apartment while they're drinking and stuff, and I just got to typing. I like typed up a letter, basically expressing my feelings of how my husband got 30 years to life for possession of a firearm, and we have kids and stuff that I feel like he should be able to come home and raise because you're releasing rapists and murderers and stuff like that. So I typed up this letter. I went on the DA's page and found cases that were worse than his that got less time. I put our pictures together, all his certificates, and I went. The next day, I made 10 packets. I went to the DA's office. I went to the public defender's office. I went to the judge. I went to the county jail. I went to the Border Patrol, CDCR's headquarters, and probation, and was like, we need to do something because he's stuck. He needs to go back for court or they need to resentence him. I promise you, they were like, he's not going to get sent back because of COVID. There's no transportation, there's no movement. That was March 8th. March 9th, he called me and was like, babe, I made it back to Salinas Valley. They sent me back. And that's when it opened my eyes like, the push is going to get you somewhere because I'm getting all these no, no, no's. And it's like I showed up to all the buildings and he got sent back by himself the next day. I'm telling you, March 8th, I pushed the issue. March 9th, he was back in Salinas Valley. And that's when it was like, okay, your voice is power. I don't think people know that. Like, your voice is power. And I was just saying, no, I didn't want to do it. Had some alcohol, got the courage, and went and did it. So that's where it all started. That same packet, I went to Staples and printed out so many copies. I sent like a number of them to Reform Alliance in New York. I sent a number of them to the Ella Baker Center, to the Resentencing Project. Like, I sent them everywhere, and um, I got follow backs on social media. I put my social media on all my packets only because I changed my number so much. I'm not even gonna lie. Change my number every year, so I put my social media because that never changes. It's always NeecyB, my my Instagram and my Facebook. So I got a follow back from him. I tapped in, and he ended up out here at in Oak Park at a barber shop. I guess like incarcerated individuals opened it up. They did a podcast there, and
And
he was
this
like,
is Robert Brooks from the Reform Alliance.
Reform Alliance. And the
Okay.
only reason why I sent the packet there is because Meek Mills had got locked up for doing wheelies in a music video. And my husband's incarceration started off because of a music video that was dropped. So I was like, it all connects. It all connects. Plus, he's a rapper. Let me reach out to them and see what happens. And I went to Oak Park, met up with him at Fixins, and talked to him about the case. And we're on social media. Everything just falls into place. Of course, we're in California, and they're out there, but I know they're making their way across the USA. So it's good to network. Like, I'm glad that I tapped in with him. I'm glad that I see the work that they're doing, and that's how it started with Robert.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of in the same plane of thought, but I thought I saw something with what's Carmelo Anthony's wife uh doing something in the prisons or in the system or something like that, trying to help. I think it was incarcerated youth or something like that.
A lot of people, a lot of the celebrities are doing it. Even a lot of the NFL players are doing it now. I seen CJ Stroud came out here to Sacramento to speak at the Capitol, and it's like Paris Hilton speaking up. I mean, I think she's doing it for um I think she's doing it for something else. But even Kim Kardashian and Khloe, seeing them show up to prisons and talk to incarcerated individuals, we need more of that. Like, we need more of that because you're locked up in a cell, sometimes for 23 hours a day, and you have no type of motivation. A lot of people forget about you once you're locked up. A lot of people will say free you on social media and talk about you out here, but nobody really shows up for you. Nobody shows up to visit. The mail stops. Everything stops after a while, right? Maybe the first 2, 3 years, everyone's like tapped in and everything, but once you hit that prison yard and stuff, within years, a lot of people fall off. So it's like knowing that there's celebrities that are coming and giving these individuals hope, like, we definitely need more of that. So I like going on social media and seeing people at the prisons, or more more of everything, more NFL players, more basketball players, more like singers, rappers, whatever. Seeing them do the work is like, okay, we have hope. We're giving these people something to look forward to. These people want to join these programs to meet these people, and it's like, it's motivating. It's motivating because I ain't been locked up, but I did make it onto the prison yards. I did make it on a tour at a level 4 prison. I got to walk all 4 yards from the 270 to the 180 to the SNY, and that was like the eye opener. Like, okay, we need to do something. We need to do something because this steak bologna is in a bag, and this biscuit is hard, and the yard got shut down while we were walking it, and it's like, okay, this is real. Like, this is it. That was my
Right.
that was my eye opener. I got to see my husband's cell, got to see the pod, and it was just like, I gotta get you out of here. Like, that was it. That was like, I gotta get you out of here. I gotta do prison reform. That was my wake up call. I said, oh
So
my God, this is
right.
live. This is it.
So where you were when before that, what were your thoughts at about this whole thing before that? Because
So
it changed when you saw that, right?
yeah. So before that, it was still like the push to bring him home. And of course, we've got letters of denial from the DA that was like, he needs to do more programming. He needs to do, like, basically just rehabilitate. He needs to rehabilitate. And that's a hardship because a lot of level 3 and 4 prisons don't have as many programs, or especially on a 180 yard, it doesn't have a lot of programs that would help, or there's like a long wait list, or whatever the case may be. So I've always knew that prison was like janky, and that you could get stuck in there, but I didn't know how much it was until I got there. So it's like I was always pushing for his freedom before that. Once I hit that yard, it was like prison reform. We need to, if they're going to keep you in here for as long as they want to keep you in here, we need to get the programs and make it comfortable in here for you to be able to rehabilitate and make your way home. That's where it started. It was always me pushing for him. And when I hit that yard, it was like, okay, I need to do it for the prison. Now we need to try to figure out programs. Now we need to go fight at the Capitol. Now that was my wake up call. Like, it's more than just trying to free him. We need to change the system.
I was just gonna ask you, like, because you already expressed your desire to push back and fight back, even some from being a young teenage girl.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like that kind of activated your passion. Like, where was your energy before then? Was it because the only other thing I've heard about in this conversation was the gangs and the street life or something?
So I'll say I was everywhere. I'll say that let's backtrack to like history wise. I've worked everywhere. I've worked at fast food places, I've worked at stores, I've worked at restaurants, I've worked at the hospital, and I've always wanted to work in the hospital. Like, I always wanted to be a nurse, always wanted to do ultrasound tech. And then from there, my like obviously I had kids at a young age, so then I was like, okay, I got in some trouble, had to do court order community service, so I started working with pregnant teens. Like, my community service was with what is it called, a home away from home, and it was like a thrifty boutique that helped pregnant teens. And that's where my focus was, like, I'm gonna help teen mothers and stuff. But then my best friend, my cousin, they ended up getting life sentences. And then right after that, that's when I started looking at the justice system. It was really like, okay, now my family's getting into it. Now he's in it. All of them had trial back to back. And I was really more for the hospitals and like teen pregnancy, but I wasn't doing the work like this because I'm a single mom and I had to take care of my kids. So I didn't really have the time or support to do things. And then after that, I started figuring out that God provides, because I would take time off work to start looking into things, and somehow everything was just connecting. Everything was just connecting, everything was flowing. And then that's when, literally 2021 in March, when I was like, I'm going to go push the issue, and seeing how far it went, that was like my drive. Like, okay, now I could do it. So this is what I'm going to do. But it was really all over the place before that. I'm like the jack of all trades, the missing puzzle piece. I adjust well, I do it all. So I was kind of everywhere before that.
So I got two questions you just made me think about.
Uh-huh.
First, this situation is ongoing with your husband, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's ongoing. So I know you said Salinas Valley. I know that to be a level 4 prison.
Yep.
And you talked about all of that. What do you look to accomplish? Uh, what's one of the first shoes to drop right now that'll be like, hell yeah, we're making progress. What could you see being done because of your efforts? The first thing.
That already is, I could say what I already see the change in the environment at Salinas Valley. I joined Inmate Family Council. And that's where families meet with admin at the prison, and we discuss complaints or issues from the families and the inmates, and come up with solutions together. I joined Inmate Family Council, and that was my thing though. It was like, how do you walk into a conference room with the warden and use proper verbiage or whatever? And that's when I'm like, okay, you know what? I didn't go to school for this. I'm not gonna come and put up a front like I'm this type of person. You know how they say like once you make a lie, you have to keep covering up your lie with more lies. I'm gonna come as my authentic self. I'm gonna come as my authentic self. I talk just like I talk to you guys or everybody else. I talk the same way to the staff. I don't. I joke around. I just talk. I'm myself. I show up as myself, and you shouldn't have to change to come and try to make a change. You know, like I mean, not that you shouldn't have to change, but I shouldn't have to act like something I'm not to come and try to do the work. So I went in and Salinas Valley had no. They never did no events. They didn't have no. They're so strict over there, especially like the ISU, like investigative service unit. They don't allow a lot of stuff. So showing up to this place and treating you got to it's like the circle of life, like you got to treat them with respect so they can respect you, and you got to like show them a bigger picture. I'm telling this man like everybody treats you like police because you're police, right? But you don't want to be treated like police. You want to be treated like you're human. So we need to do the same with the inmates because yeah, they're inmates and they're in here for a reason, but they're also still human. And building connections between families and inmates are like a big part of rehabilitation. So when we go online and see Corcoran and Pelican Bay doing stuff with families, and we're like Salinas Valley don't do nothing, that's a problem. Like that's a problem. So we made good connections with the staff, and we got to do a back to school event. We got to do a Halloween event. We had Santa come to all the yards, and the inmates were allowed to buy their children gifts. The inmates were allowed to buy the children gifts, and Santa brought in the gifts with a wagon, and the inmates got to open gifts with their kids. We did we do little, if we don't do an event, we pass out stuff to the youth. And even Easter, the Easter bunny showed up. All the inmates were allowed to buy their kids Easter baskets that came to the visiting room, and they got to give it to their children. Like I know that we're making changes already.
Oh, hold on, man. Hold on. You in there teaching the staff sensitivity training,
Because
right?
they have to be
Look.
confident.
You know why that's so funny to me?
Why?
Man, because I done sat in level 4 uh prison,
Hmm.
and I know what that existence is like, man.
It's
So for you to say that now, I've been locked up and they had like Angel Tree where they do gifts around Christmas time, stuff like that. But for you to say that, I'm like, that blows my mind. I'm just blown away to hear you say that because I'm like, how would the staff even put together a program like it? Just don't make sense to me.
right. It
It don't
it
make
took a lot.
sense.
It took a lot of work. We're doing great. We get a lot of feedback and gratitude from the families. They're like, "Thank you so much. This is like the best IFC group because we've never had nothing like this." And that itself, just showing up and seeing the families and the kids smiling and bonding and stuff. It's like we had on the bus, you know. We do the on the bus stuff, and that's every prison that gets to do it. But that's all we ever had was one day a year where we get to face paint and play games, and it's just regular. We don't feel like we're being hovered over and watched and uncomfortable. It was like freedom for a day with our loved ones. But now seeing that they're allowing stuff and looking at the families and everything, it's like, okay, I know we're doing the work now. Now I know we're working because now it's like more, it's more respectful, I guess you could say. Like we're not, it's not so much anger towards the COs because a lot of the COs didn't do nothing to none of us. But families come in ready to have the aggression towards them because your loved ones in there, and certain ones are like, I always tell the staff like, make sure when the new ones come in, you tell them like just because they have a badge, they don't have to act like buttholes because these people are supposed to be here to rehabilitate. They're not here to get punished. And I feel like that's like a line that a lot of correctional officers don't understand is for sure do your job, for sure watch them, for sure make sure you're doing what you're supposed to do. But you can have compassion and you can have empathy and you could just help these people rehabilitate to come out to society because that's what you're supposed to do. Like that's what prison is for. It's not to put them in a cell and treat them like a dog and then think they're gonna come out and be better citizens. Like be for real.
We're where do you see uh, yourself in this equation 5 years down the line?
5 years down the line, I feel like besides the IFC stuff, I for sure request like more programs on level 3 and 4 yards. I know Initiate Justice started going into prisons. I feel like, especially with the California model that they're trying to do now, we just had a meeting with headquarters about that too, as IFC members. Just like what we want to see and how they're trying to bring the Norway model out here. I feel like it will be a difference in 5 years. I feel like there will be more programs um, with the prison closures and the new laws. I do see a lot of inmates coming home and there being less inmates on a prison yard, which gives them more ways to. I feel like when there's less people on a yard and it's easier to control, there will be more programs. Because right now it's like when I went to this screening and I asked, how come you guys don't have this program on a level 3 and 4 yard? You guys have it on a level 2, and it's like, of course, those people are coming home. So we really need it over here on this yard, so they could learn from it. And they were like, we can't do programs on level 3 and 4 yards because everyone goes on lockdown. Why would we start a program that's 12 weeks and in the middle have to stop because they're on lockdown? But that's the thing. If they had more programs to do stuff, they wouldn't be bored. And when you let them out their cage, I do see changes. I do see more programs. I do see less buildings and stuff. But it's really, I mean, I don't want to. It's a voting year. Everything could change, really. I don't know. Like, I don't want to. I don't want to say there for sure is going to be changes, but I can't say how much only because it changed. Everything changes every 4 years. It's all going to be different.
How, yeah, it is going to be some change. Change happens no matter what you want it to happen or not. How do you feel like this being a part of this whole thing actually challenges you?
I feel like I get challenged every day because the work I do, there's like no manual on how to do it, right? So someone could send me a message and they're like, hey, I want to learn how to do this or I want to do this. It's like, for one, I have to figure it out. And obviously, like I said, I literally learned everything I'm doing off of Google or showing up and watching and learning. Um, and because this isn't what I originally focused on doing, I feel like everything's a challenge. Showing up to talk, I never used to give public comments. So if you look at my first one when I went up there, it's like the stuttering, talking fast, like everything I do in this work is a challenge, really, because it's not anything I'm used to. But at the same time, I feel like I just show up and do my stuff every time. Like it's rewarding knowing that I show up, I do it, and there's a change. Even getting like invitations places from other organizations, and I'm like, dang, they want me to come. I didn't even like, like I don't know. Like I feel like everything's a challenge because everything is not going to go how you want it to go. And like I said, because I didn't learn it originally, it's kind of like everything to me is a challenge.
What part of this is what you imagined yourself? You say you never imagined this, but what did you imagine for yourself as an adult when you were younger?
Me working at a hospital. I really am. I didn't. I promise you, working with the prison system and the justice system, I did not see this in my adulthood. Like I thought I would be working at a hospital. Still, I worked 5 years at Sutter. That was like me going to school and working at a hospital to make good money to take care of the kids was like really all I thought I was gonna do. But I found
What
my
was
doing this work because I love doing it. Sometimes I
mhm.
free. I do it for free.
But what was your motivation with the because you say you worked 5 years at Sutter. What
Uh,
what what attracted you to that type of work?
the money,
Money.
the money, the money because I have 2 kids. So it's like being a single mom, I want to provide for them. And I also want to make more money and work less. So working at Sutter was like where it was at. And then COVID kicked in and the mandatory overtime and all the stuff. So I ended up leaving there and getting another job. Right now, I work with the homeless community, housing the homeless community. So it's like a big pay cut. It's a huge pay cut. But then it's like, I think I just love helping people. So, like I said, God provides. When you have a good heart and you do everything the right way, you get blessed. So it just works for me. But I'm for sure gonna eventually look for a job in this field and try to do something over here because you want to wake up every day and do something you love, right? And I'm not saying I don't love helping the community, but I know my passion is over here with the advocacy.
With that being said, which person, if you could talk to that person right now, someone that's in the industry and that has a corporation or just doing the same type of initiatives that you're trying to do, if you could say something to them right now on this podcast, who would it be and what would you say?
Really, I'm on a mission to meet Newsom. I swear to God, I'm on a mission to meet Governor Newsom.
Gavin Newsom,
Yep.
Governor Newsom.
I promise.
Mm.
I went to the legislative office and I found out that he's on the ninth floor, and I went up there even though we're not supposed to. I like hit the ninth floor button and I went up there. And I told the secretary, I was like, "Hey, I have a secret meeting with Newsom. Tell him I'm here." And he was like, "What secret meeting?" And I said, "It's not on the agenda. Just let him know I'm here." And he was like, "Well, he's not even here today." And I said, "Oh, wrong Monday." Like just playing, but it's like I'm on a mission to find him because he I know a lot of people don't like him, but I'm with all the clemencies he's doing. He's like trying to work and I feel like he has a type of understanding when it comes to this stuff. But it's like you're giving he's over here making calls of how to change stuff, but it's like you really need to look into people who have that are like system impacted or incarcerated to know like what they need to do in the system. Like he for sure closed down heck of prisons. He's let a lot of people out, but he has the key to a lot of stuff in California. So if I were able to talk to anybody, it would be Newsom because well, look, time is running out. So it's like, Newsom, if you hear me, we need to talk right now because November is up the up the street. But he has a lot of the answers for things that I want changed as far as the system goes or as far as clemencies and people coming home. I would pick Newsom for sure.
What would you say to other women who have loved ones that's locked up and perhaps don't know, they don't have a voice or they don't know, where to start? What would you say to them?
I would say follow your heart because I do have a lot of wives that reach out to me and ask me where do they start. I also feel like you a lot of loved ones try to like force and push their loved ones to do the work. And if it's not in you, it's not in you, right? Like a lot of people want to free their other half or their dad or their brother, but they don't have the want to actually do it. So I would always say don't force anything. Don't force anything because when the time comes for them to want to do it, it's going to come. But don't force nothing because that's where you're just going to crash out, right? I also feel like come have a conversation with me so we could get started because seeing it online, or I could type up a long post on social media, the chances of women to actually sit there and read it to want to do the work is like slim to none. Like, I feel like me telling you how to do it and how to start off, or you seeing me do the work, you're going to want to do it. And like I said, I tell everybody my truth. I never went to school for none of this. I use Google, I show up, I like the worst they're gonna do is say no in every situation, right? We're already at the worst. So it's like just show up. But I feel like if I was able to talk to them, I like I said, like Nike, just do it. You have to try it. I don't think people know that their voice is power. I don't think people know like we can complain about all these problems, but unless you show up and speak about it or send an email or write a letter or like I don't think women know that we're the ones who have to make the change and push for them because they're locked up and they have a voice and they can make a complaint or 602 it or whatever, it's not going to get anywhere unless we all come together and speak up.
And you said 602, that's like a grievance or something?
Yeah. It's
Right, right. So I say that because I know everybody's not able to follow the specifics of some of the stuff you said, but I caught that,
Yeah.
right? But what's the most I guess moving thing I would say, something that really affected you on somebody acknowledging how you and your story and your effort helped them.
You know what? Let me see. I'm about to tell you because I just got a comment the other day, and it's really like everybody giving me their flowers when even if the work that I do doesn't directly affect them or have to do anything with them, it's just the fact that they know I'm doing the work. And um hold on, wait, let me find it real quick cuz it's right here. It's really heartwarming knowing that there's inmates that reach out and they're like, "Nisi, we appreciate you because we don't have people out there that's going to do for us like you," and blah blah blah. And it's like, "Okay, I got to keep doing it. People are depending on me." So this person said, "I see you learning as you go, and you started off for your man, which I salute to the max because you made a big impact. Throughout that time, you also found that you found joy in it, and you want to help those you can. And I'ma speak for niggas in my position with my mentality. We appreciate it. I don't got no one pushing for a nigga like that. That has to do with bringing me home. And I noticed before, whenever we would tap in, we would chop it up about this. I respect it, and I promise fucking with me, you're gonna have hella people from in here when it's all said and done." And he said, "Have hecka people from in there because I just started learning how to do writs and petitions. So I do have a number of people that I surprisingly filed their paperwork and they're coming back to court for resentencing. And like I said, I never went to school for this. So it's like now there's people reaching out, like, especially people who doubted me, okay? Because there's people on here that was like, Nisi don't know what she's doing. She's just doing stuff. And then it's like, now that they see the paperwork or people telling them that they're coming back for resentencing, now they're reaching out like, "Hey, Nisi, can you help me with my stuff and do this and do that?" And it's like, I thought I didn't know what I was doing. But of course, I'm going to do the work. Like, I'm going to do the work and stuff. But it's just like knowing that it's going around and I'm making a change and I'm helping people and people are like sending me flowers, even though I haven't directly done anything for them. It's like heartwarming. I know I'm doing it.
Yeah, man, because who don't want to have a shot? You
Right.
know what I mean? And the thing is, and that's the part about where the closure TV aspect comes in at. Because I'm
Hmm.
sitting here locked up, knowing I want to be out, knowing if it was anything that could be done, I'd jump on it if
Right.
I qualified. But
Right.
because that door is closed so tight, I feel like it's closed so tight, I don't see no hope. So I just sit here and fester
And do
and
your
do this time and walk it off like I'm good. But
right.
I know I ain't good.
Right.
You know what I mean? Deep down inside, I'm wishing Niecy or somebody like Niecy will pop up and show up and start pulling some weight for, you know what I mean, and getting some doors open, right? And so that's the part right there. You know what I mean? Because I know it's people that's being affected by your work. Even though it may be indirectly in some instances, but yeah, you putting in that work that needs to be done.
Right.
So yeah, but man, I love it. I love it. And unfortunately, I've never been myself in that situation where I really needed that you person, you know
Right.
what I mean, to help pull some strings for me. But I definitely have people that's in that same situation that's probably gonna need to hear from you.
It's crazy. Like, you really learning. There's so many laws that pass, and I'm like, oh my god, all these laws will help, right? But I think people don't know like retroactivity. If the law's not retroactive, it doesn't apply to inmates that are already sentenced and stuff like that. It's like literally learning everything. Like I said, knowledge is power, and so is your voice. But I've done for not going to law school or nothing. Let me tell you, last week was probably like my most highlighted moment in all of the work that I've been doing. There, I have a coworker. She came up to me and she was like, "Nisi, like I got $200, right? And with this $200, I'm hoping you could try to do something for my nephew because my sister passed away. I can't go visit him, and I'm all he has. And at least I know I tried. But he's been locked up since like 2010, and he got a double life sentence for murder. Mind you, I'm discouraged as hell. I'm like a double life sentence, and you want me to help him? Like, you know, I don't know, like I'm not a trained professional. But she was just like, please, like at least I know I tried and blah blah. So I went online, I Googled his case, I looked into stuff that would be relevant for him that's retroactive. And I told her, I said, I'm gonna file this. I want you to know that there's no guarantee that he's gonna come back to court. The DA can deny it, blah blah blah. If he does get accepted, they'll appoint him counsel, he can come back, get resentenced, which still doesn't mean he's gonna be free. Oh my goodness, last week she was calling me. I'm out with my other coworkers and I'm like, I don't want to answer the phone because she probably wants me to work for her, right? Why else is she calling me? Like, she probably wants me to work for her. And I called her back and she was like, thank you so much. I'm so happy. My nephew just got a letter in the mail and they're about to appoint him counsel. He's about to come and get his sentence changed. And she's like, he's so thankful and grateful. And I was like, I had the chills. I was like in my feelings because I'm like, dang, I really doubted myself. Like, I really was like not confident in this petition that I'm about to submit to the court. I went into the courtroom. I don't file papers on the first floor, you guys. Don't do it. Go into the courtroom because there's clerks in the back that can file your paperwork. Okay, we're gonna file it right where we need to. And I filed his paperwork, and he got something back, and I was like shocked because I'm telling you, I didn't think it wasn't gonna work. When she called and was like, she was so happy, and I could hear it in her voice. I'm like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, this is the work I need to do.
Right, right. And that, man, that's dope.
That
That is fire.
that
You
was
know what I
crazy.
mean?
Yeah.
That's fire. I mean, it's fire for me to hear it because, like, honestly, I've been in situations where, you know what I mean? I probably could have used something like that, but not to the degree of these cats, like you say, double life and
Yeah.
murder, this, that. You know, I ain't never been in that type of specific situation,
Mhm.
but I know that it's cats that's in those situations that don't need to be.
Right.
And I know it's cats in those situations that don't know have no real representation.
Right.
You know what I mean? So if you could save one, that's like they did the story about the kid that was standing on the edge of the ocean throwing starfish in the ocean, and
Yeah.
the whole beach is littered with them. And the guy walks up and said, "Man, what you doing? You know, you ain't gonna be able to throw all them back in there. You ain't gonna make a difference." And he said, "To that one I just threw in, I am.
Right.
I mean, because
Yep.
that starfish got a shot.
And a lot of people
You
think
know,
they're stuck in there. It's like you guys don't even know one little paper might just save your whole day. Like
right?"
one little move. And
And they're literally accepting that existence
yeah.
with no chance of hope, no thoughts of hope or their situation changing, you know. And so that, believe me, you know what I mean, that's what they call doing God's work, you know what I mean,
For sure.
for
God's work.
some.
Listen, God's plan, because like I said, I would have never thought I'd be here. God's plan is never wrong. It might not make sense, but it's never wrong.
No,
So
100%,
it's
100%, you know what I mean. You're gonna get yours on the back end, you know what I mean. You're
for
gonna
sure.
get yours on the back end. um and I'm grateful for you. You know, I'm grateful for you because me being able to connect now, we definitely got a connection. We
Yep.
can keep that thing going because I do what I feel like is a caregiving work myself and
Yeah.
bringing the voice to the table and platforms of podcasts and motivational speaking, things of that nature, you
Right.
know. And I definitely not for the same reasons, but I got a heart for individuals that's coming out of that situation that
Right.
really don't have no tools or no, because see now I'm able to provide uh, a voice or a skill set for cats that don't really have that skill set, and you stepping your foot on this pavement and you finna run into a bunch of homeboys and family members and stuff like that that ain't got no skill set neither. They just know go for yours. So they're
Right.
gonna lead you back into the same situation that created the situation in the first place.
That part.
Whereas you could look at a cat that have been through that same situation and have found a way to stay rooted out here and
Right.
make some different choices. So that's where I come in at,
Yeah.
you know. And so it's a delicate balance, you know what I mean. But it takes sometimes it takes for a guy that been through the stuff that I've been through to hear me, you
Yeah.
know what I mean. So if you've been in that same situation, you're gonna be easier to hear a person that's been through that situation,
For sure.
you know.
Yep.
So nah, that's dope. You're doing that work. Let me ask you about real quick. Your husband
Hmm.
is locked up, and I don't know much about his case. I know you mentioned something about the time that he got and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What happened with his situation?
So it's not a secret, because he has a gang enhancement. But my husband is a well-known gang member in Sacramento, who also is a rapper. He's from South Sacramento, Meadowview to be exact. And he dropped a music video on a day that is known as a gang day for G Parkway. He dropped a video that was, I guess you could say, it was kind of dissing his enemies. And so probation was watching him, found his GPS location at a sushi restaurant. There was a gun that was flashed in the video. So they pulled up to the sushi restaurant and watched him. There was probably like 3 or 4 other vehicles there with him. And he was kind of like talking to everybody in each car, hopped in a car. They rolled up on them and they found 2 guns in 2 different cars. And even though his fingerprints wasn't on it, no DNA, nothing, and nobody said that it was his or anything, because of constructive possession of a firearm, which means he could have access to these guns, they gave him 30 years to life for possession of a firearm. Locked him up. Now, a gun charge originally would be like 3 years, and even if you double it up, it would be like 6. They gave him, they striked him out, so he got 3 strikes. Gave him his little 30 years to life and put him in there, and my that's where a lot of my push came from. Like, I can't let
So
him sit.
basically, that 30, the life and the strikes and stuff came from they considered it a violent crime. And was there a gang, something like that attached to the sentencing too?
Yep, he has a gang enhancement, a gun enhancement,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
if you guys do your research, People versus Lee is a case that just cleared in a higher court. You cannot have a gang and a gun enhancement in the same sentence. So I'm for sure right now drafting a writ to try to get him where he needs to go because, yeah, even though it's a nonviolent case, the gun wasn't used in anything and he wasn't doing anything wrong. If you have a gang enhancement, that automatically makes your sentence a serious or violent crime, which is that's where you get stuck
Because of the
at.
gang.
That's
But
where
let me throw this out there. For y'all that's listening, replay that what she just said. You cannot have a gang and a gun enhancement in the same sentence.
yep.
So you need to get your game right. You need to get your notes together. Reach out to NeecyB, and she gonna get you. She gonna tighten
I'm gonna
you up.
get you where you need to go.
She gonna get you where you need to go. Fast. Come on, let's get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, that was his sentence. That's where I was like, I looked up on the district attorney's page because you could see people's cases. There's people who've murdered kids. There's rapists and people. There's people who got less time than him, and it's like, I'm not gonna let him sit in there and do no 30 years to life for a possession of a firearm. Like I cannot. I can't do it.
So you drafting up a writ. What is it? Writ of mandamus,
The writ of habeas corpus.
habeas corpus. Okay, writ of habeas corpus. So you drafting up a writ, and then you just gonna let it fly and see where that goes and push it.
Yep.
We gotta holler at
Because
Gavin
anything
Newsom.
that anything that goes to a higher court that passes, how you can't say no. It went to the higher ups. You have to correct the sentence. But see, people don't know that. People will like let them say no and just be no. It went to a higher court. You have to fix it. Just like if it's a law that's retroactive and it applies, you're gonna have to correct the sentence. Now, I'm not saying release him immediately because of this law. It's give him a sentence that makes sense. Even if you doubled it up, or even if you did a 3 strike resentencing, which is like instead of 369, it's it was like 6, 12, 18 or something. Just fix the sentence. Take the L off because everything else will fall into place. Like, that's all I'm asking. I'm not saying to release him because obviously he's a gang member and he wasn't supposed to have a gun. And dropping that song on that day for sure promotes gang violence. So time has to be served, but make it make sense. Take the 30 years off, 30 years to life off, Marianne. Tell the judge, Marianne, to fix it.
It's a cold world, man. It's a cold world,
Man, if you
you
let the
know.
system play you, they're gonna play you. You have to like eventually people will wake up and be like, you know what, this isn't what I want. We gotta do the work. And listen, if you guys want to do the work, follow me on Instagram, NeecyB underscore, and we need all the help we can get.
I mean, how do you feel like you would feel to put all this behind you as far as you and your husband's situation having back home?
To have him back home. I still wanna
Yeah.
even when he's home, and that's the same thing for him too. Even when he's home, the work still needs to be done. Like we
No,
have
I get that, but I'm saying, how you feel? How do you feel like you would feel, or you're gonna feel when he touches feet back on the pavement?
that we better not be in Sacramento. And look, there's a law that passed where you do not have to parole in the city that you were convicted in, and that's gonna help because you I don't feel like you could really make it in Sacramento. I don't think you can make it in Sacramento. There's so much hate and animosity and gang violence. It's like, why would I want him to step foot in Sacramento? It's just gonna lead you
I,
right back to where you came from. And even though that's so sad to say, for sure we're gonna have to do work in Sacramento, but
mhm.
I don't want to start in Sacramento.
Do you feel like gangs promote a criminal culture where people ain't gonna do nothing but end up back and forth in jail anyway?
Yeah, it's a setup for sure. Especially with all the new, like the youth that's coming into it that don't know what they're banging for or want to follow the lead. It's a setup. There might be some little boy that don't even know you that's just like, okay, I'm gonna do something because I know who you are, but you don't know who I am.
Right.
Mhm.
You know, but that for real don't seem like it don't do nothing but perpetuate endless cycle.
Right.
You know what I mean? If I'm engaging in that type of activity and that type of mental.
Even if you come out and you want to do something else, like you changed your life and you don't want to, you're not participating in gang violence and you're trying to better yourself, there's still going to be people who remember who you are, remember what you did, and remember that you're a somebody and still come. Like there's no win. There's no win in Sacramento, especially with the system. Like I went to the Racial Justice Act symposium at Berkeley Law School, and there was public defenders and DAs from like all over California. Did anybody from Sacramento show up? Just me and Laura. There was nobody in Sacramento, and all the laws that passed, I feel like Sacramento puts it into play way later than everybody else. Like this is probably like there's so many counties that are like resentencing and fixing their mistakes and stuff like that, and Sacramento's not one of them. And that's when you have to go and like talk to the DA and say stuff. And let me tell you, I done followed him around too. I showed up to a town hall. I showed up to a town hall, and I'm just like, I have questions. Like you're over here talking about like violent cases and all types of stuff, but it's like, how do you decide what's violent and what's non-violent? Like, how do you decide all this stuff? And he was just like, write your question down on a paper on a card, and I'm gonna get back to you. And he never got back to me. I was probably me and Laura was the only brown people in that room. But it's like it's Sacramento. It's Sacramento. It's our DAs. It's the fucked up system, and it's messed up that we're the capital and we have it the worst. Like out of everybody, there's a judge there. It's in the Sacramento Bee. If you Google it, there's a judge in Sacramento that was resentencing individuals, and there's some civil code, like a blanket paper, or something. I don't know the exact words, but basically the DA stopped him from resentencing. He's not allowed to resentence anybody anymore because it's going against the interest of the DA. And it's like, how do you win when you do stuff like that, right? It's the law that says that you have to resentence people, but the DA could say you're going against their interest, and now this dude can't resentence anybody. Like, that's discouraging, especially for us in Sacramento.
No,
Like,
it's a double standard. It is really a double standard in the sense that, of course, like you said, the DA, they level setting right there, saying the DA convicted this person or whatever. They got to keep their numbers up,
yeah,
But at the same time, even still, when you bring a valid gripe about a case or an individual case or something, they should see that and hear it out. But when they seeing this guy letting people out or whatever it is, all they looking at is the fact that he's gonna open the floodgates in a sense.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But you should still consider the individual cases. I get it. Some people don't need, they that chance
Yeah.
that you
Some
looking
people's
for,
not
they
ready.
don't fit the criteria, right?
Right.
But you know what I mean? That's just being fair, you know. And then they try to look at protecting the best interests of the victims' families and stuff like that.
Right.
So I understand the ball of wax, you know what I mean? But I just feel like if you are providing that help, for people that potentially really need it, then there's the win. You know what I mean? And so if you don't do it, then you can't help the people that need it or don't need it. You can't help nobody,
Right.
you know. So yeah, I gotta, you know what I mean, say, peace on you for that. Does it get frustrating?
Let me tell you, there's a lot of impatient people out there, especially if you're incarcerated and you're locked up in a cell and you know that you have a way. And I am not gonna act like I'm the best communicator. You know. Look, sometimes I get carried away. Sometimes I don't respond. Sometimes I go home and go to sleep and I just ignore all my work. Like, I can only move as fast as I can, right? Besides working, I am a mother and I still, on my weekends, on my days off, I'm visiting. So it's like, I have to do this stuff on my time, especially because it's like, I have to look into your case. I have to make sure that what I'm filing is right because you can't file, they'll be like, you exhausted all of your, remedies to get resentenced. So it's like, say if I told someone I'm going to look into their stuff and they don't hear from me right away or that same day or the next day, I'll get all types of, man, you're playing. Man, what are you doing? Oh, woo woo. Or people will be like, oh, I'll just pay somebody to do it. And it's like, I don't even want to be rude. But if you're going to pay somebody, you could pay somebody, right? It's like, that's probably the most frustrating thing is the, I get it though, because you're locked up and you know you have a way and you want to hurry up and do it. But at the same time, it's like I get overwhelmed and then I shut down. Like I'm working on that right now, right? Like I get overwhelmed and I shut down and it's not fair to people. So I'm like I said, I'm working on it. But that's probably my most frustrating part is the rush. It's like people not having understanding. Like I can have understanding for you. I might know that you don't have any type of way or money to get rescinded, so I might want to help you. But then it's like you don't have understanding with me that I just worked 8 hours with the homeless
Mhm.
community that's vulnerable and have mental health issues, have drug issues, have, it's like a draining job. And then I have to come home and it's like it's summer break, so the kids are here. I got to cook for them. I got to do laundry. I got to get ready for like just regular life stuff. I That's probably my only frustrating thing is that
And
because
that's what you're
everything else,
doing. That's what you're doing on a day to day. Your daily job is shelter.
yep, it's a women's navigation center. If you guys
Yeah.
don't know, if you guys have homeless people or people who need assistance, you call 211. They have all the resources. We house people. So we do their intake. They come in. We give them a place to sleep. We give them 3 meals a day. You can eat, sleep, smoke. You're allowed to smoke weed and cigarettes at the smoke sections. We do your laundry. We help you with resources to find a job and get housed and stuff. And then we pay like a portion of your rent for so long until you get back on your feet. And I feel like a lot of people don't know that. I drive around and I see homeless people and I'm like, why are you sleeping out here? Call 211. Like, go get put in a shelter, Like,
What's that experience like for you though?
I've never seen a shelter till I started working here. So when I showed up in 2021, it was like, this is a shelter. This is what it looks like, And I promise, I tell people this is like a little prison because there's rules. There's rules. It's strict. You got to follow, like it's not just a free space for you to just live in, right? Like you have to keep your bed area clean. You have to start doing something. You can't, it's not just a place where you get to just live here and think it's over. Like we're going to push you to do better, to get housed and not to turn back into like the streets or be homeless again. So, it has been an experience. It has been an experience because you have to come compassionate. Like you have to be compassionate, you have to be understanding. Like people are in that situation, so you have to put yourself in that position. I get people who come up to they'll like come up to me and be like, they'll have an attitude. I've had people cuss me out. Like I've had so much crazy stuff. People throw stuff. Like it gets crazy over there, but I just have the understanding like, what if I was in their position? How would I react? Or how would I want to be treated? I treat people how I want to be treated. I give them whatever they want. It's like it's a definitely a different experience. It's draining because I feel like I'm empathetic. So when they tell me their issues, I kind of like soak it in and it stays with me. And then it's also like 100 of them. It's not just like a group of them. There's 100 females here that have all the same issues, and we have to tend to all of them. And we're short staffed, so it's like we're we're short staffed and overworked.
But when somebody tell you something about, like you said, they tell you their situation and it sticks with you, like, how does that make you feel?
I'm a crybaby. Let me tell you, people will come to me with their stories, and I will try to help them figure out their life, like as if my life is just perfect and figured out myself. So it, I would say it makes me emotional for sure, but it gives me the push. Like I need to help this lady. I need to figure out how we can get her somewhere, or I need to find her resources where she can help herself if I can't do it. Because for sure, I try not to. I try not to overwhelm myself, but there's resources for everything. I didn't even know how many resources we have till I started working there, and knowing that there's a lot that we could do. But that's my that's my thing. I'm gonna try to figure it out for them.
How confident are you that the resources being provided are actually making a difference?
It's a 50-50. Cause let me tell you, even at my job, um, there's people who do the job to get the pay, right? I always tell people like, don't come here just to get paid. Come here because you want to help. Come here because you want to do the work because you could call 211, right? And I have this happen a lot. People will be like, they'll get exited and they'll want to come back. They call 211. It's like people will have attitudes for no reason with you. Like people will make it hard so that you don't want to, so that we don't have to take your information down, so that we don't have to help you, so that we don't have to figure it out. Especially the homeless community, they don't have all their information. They don't have, some of them don't have IDs or social security cards or information that they could give you to. So it's like, imagine calling for help and I'm like the a B word to you on purpose for no reason. You didn't do nothing to me, but I'm just irritated because you don't have your information and I don't want to help you. Like I would say the resources are there. There might not be a lot of resources, but a lot of the people that work at the places of resource are discouraging. Like people won't want to do it. They'll just be like, never mind. And I do that too. If it's hard for me, I'll be like, never mind. I don't want to do it. Never mind. Like that's for sure a hardship. We don't have enough compassionate people. I always tell people to be kind. Like you don't know what people went through. You don't know why they're there. You don't know the backstory. So instead of just looking at her like, oh, she's a mental patient, or oh, she's hella angry, like there's always a reason or a backstory. But I feel like sometimes some people just need to be heard. I could sit there and listen to people talk and it's like give them a safe space so they can vent, so that they can let it out, and it will make a difference. Surprisingly, it will make a difference. Not everybody does that though. They have to be mean, they have to be a certain way.
So look, you don't, I don't think you know how much I'll be listening, right?
Uh-huh.
Two times you just said, one, you said, if you telling somebody's coming to work at your, where you work at, don't come if you worried about the money.
Yeah.
That's one.
Mm-hmm.
A minute ago, and of course, throughout the podcast, you've been talking about advocating prison reform, injustices that's happening in the system. And you literally talked about a woman breaking down and being so thankful and grateful when all she had was $200, a hope and a prayer,
Mm-hmm.
right, for her nephew that's been down for 14 years.
Yep.
And the little bit of glimmer of hope that she got behind the work that you did for literally nothing,
Right.
was a game changer for her, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm seeing is consistency that says you are in it for the reason,
Yeah.
not
For,
the season, and for
not,
the long haul,
yeah.
right? It's in you, it's not on you, right? So I just want to pour that into you, and you know what I mean, and encourage that you continue to do the work that you're doing because it's what you were meant to do in some capacity. I can't say forever. I
Right.
just want to put that out there for you.
For sure.
Question:
Yep.
do you have a story of an experience or something that happened with you at the shelter that told you that something that you did or what you brought to the table literally helped or changed the game for somebody uh, in their struggle that came through the shelter?
I will say, okay, my days off are Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I could say when I show up on Monday, you could listen, you could give me a call while I'm at work, and you're gonna hear somebody come up and be like, Nisi, why'd you take all those days off? Everybody is so mean to me. Like, I get the
Mm.
gratitude every day. Every time I come back to work, they're like, please don't take that many days off. Or Nisi, please don't leave. Cause I always tell everybody, like, I'm looking for a job that like in the work that I do with the prison reform and all that stuff, the advocacy work. And they're like, please don't leave, Nisi. You're the only one that understands us. Like, you're the only nice one. And that probably is a good reason of why I've been there for so long. Like, not only like the benefits of the job and the understanding that comes from like the management team and stuff with the work I do and my children and being a single mom. It's the knowing I make a difference to these ladies because people everybody needs somebody, right? Like, when I go to work and I hear all the complaints from them about other staff members or other people doing stuff, it's like I always question, like, why are people like this? Like, why are people so mean? So I could say I make a difference in a lot of people's life. There's a lot of people who got housed who came back and was like, Nisi, there was this girl, and I seen her, she would always like try to half her plates of food and pack it up because her boyfriend would sleep in a car. They were both homeless, but he never got sheltered. So I would always see her leaving. So when I started showing up to work, I started packing both of them lunches and snack packs, you know? And when she would come to the window, I'd give it to her and I'd be like, just take it. And she'd be like, oh my gosh, really? I'm like, yeah, like I ran away when I was 16 with my son's dad, so it's like I know the hardship. And she got housed and she got a job and she gained weight and she's healthy and stuff. And she came back to the shelter and she's like, I really want to thank, look, I'm about to cry. She's like, I really want to thank you because you've made a difference. Like, nobody understood what I was going through but you. And now I got my whole life together. Like, little shit like that is why I do it for sure. So I know every day I make a difference to them ladies because I show up and I'm like this with them and I'll play music. I'll go out there and karaoke with them. Like, I'm going to do something to make your day because you don't have nothing. So we're going to make the best out of what we do have.
You know what? That's what just hit me as super profound as you were sharing that was that you're literally living your life with them for that time, that amount of time that you're able to be there as a physical presence.
Mm-hmm.
You're living your life with these people. It ain't that they're them and this is me. You in that situation together.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so that's so next level for you to be the person that you are in that setting because they don't see that. It's not commonplace that a
Right.
person will have that empathy that you shared. And definitely, I guarantee you, I know it's a game changer.
For
You
sure.
know, I know it's a game changer. You know, so you are literally what I consider shifting the universe for them when you be that person.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, man, I just want to thank you, man, for getting on the call. I knew we was gonna light the room up, you know, light the call up or the airways with the content of what we talked about. But you way exceeded what I expected, you know.
Thank you.
So yeah, let's hit them with your socials or however they can get in contact with you. We definitely want to shout out and call Gavin Newsom into the conversation. Let make sure we get him on deck. But
Right.
give us a parting shot and some socials or something so we can make sure people can contact you.
Well, thank you for the opportunity because I told you I wanted to tell my story and my truth. You guys can find me on Instagram, NeecyB underscore. You can find me on Facebook, NeecyB Rogers. just message me, add me, reach out if you have any questions or anything I could do to help you guys. I will definitely do my best to get you the answers. But like I said, you guys, like Nike, just do it. Go on Google, be teachable. Like knowledge is power, and so is your voice. And we have some bills we need to pass at the Capitol, so I post it all the time. You guys show up and support, because we could complain about it, but we can't change it if you guys don't show up. And I'll be there, so it will be comfortable.
Let's go. Let's go. 100%. Hey, DCB, y'all. You know what I mean? Big round of applause, congratulations, and all the rest of that, because everything that you about to do is gonna get green lighted. You know what I mean? Um, we're gonna wrap it on that one. Close your TV. Uh, we pounding the pavement, man. We trying to knock on some doors and open up some doors for other people, create some opportunities. Yes, and definitely, like she said, call 211. Definite resources, and I'm gonna put that in the link in the description, as well as the other links that I usually put. Go ahead, like, comment, subscribe. Definitely let us know that we are hitting on something, or tell us shut the hell up. That's how you feeling. But we'll catch you on the next one, man. Close your TV. We out.
Bye.
A wise man once told me two things that I never forget. Number one, you gonna live forever. Number two, if you gonna say something,